In this episode of Student of Life with Joe Hafner, we address the question, is your life ruled by confidence or by doubt? Joe will examine why people have doubt, how to build confidence, 5 strategies for overcoming doubt, and much more. For show notes, links, and other resources, please visit studentoflifepodcast.com/15. That's studentoflifepodcast.com/15.
Hey everybody, this is Joe Hafner. Welcome to my podcast, Student of Life. This is the podcast for people seeking personal and professional fulfillment. And actually, in that vein, just before we get started on today's subject, I want to tell about something exciting going on with me. If you remember the podcast about your purpose, one of my purposes is to write. And I'm really excited to let everybody know that my novel that I've been working on since like 2013, so for 3-4 years, that novel has finally been released. It's called Rooster's Leap. It's available if you go to Amazon and look up my name or look up Rooster's Leap. The novel will pop up, and I'll just give you a quick little description of it. So it's a novel that's really funny and really touching at times, but it's about one man's search for redemption. Rooster Michaels is kind of down and out and hiding out in Murfreesboro, Tennessee, which is the general area where I live. He is had some hard drinking ways, and all that has caused him to just be down on his luck, and he's trying to turn his life around. And just as he's starting to get a little traction there, some things from his past come to seek retribution on him. And the whole story is about his search for redemption and all the crazy characters and crazy situations that he gets himself into. So it is, I promise you, it's a fun read. It's got really funny parts of it. If you know anybody who's been in recovery or you're in recovery yourself from drugs, alcohol, that sort of thing, you will totally get the humor in there. There's a lot of recovery type humor that people get. But also, if you don't have anything to do with recovery, it's a great, just fun story, easy to read. So that's something that I've been working on, a dream that I have in my life for that book. And I've set some goals for myself of how many I want to sell. And I just hope that you'll at least check it out. So it's called Rooster's Leap. And that's the dream portion of our podcast today. So the other thing I'm going to talk about is I've been thinking the last several weeks about doubt and kind of the flip side of doubt, which is confidence. And the question I'm putting up for us today is your life being ruled by confidence or is your life being ruled by doubt? I always like to start, as you probably have figured out by now if you've listened to me before, I always like to start with definitions. Doubt is to be uncertain about, to consider questionable or unlikely, or to hesitate to believe. So the question is, where in your life do you have doubt? What do people doubt generally? So there's lots of things that people doubt. A lot of people just doubt themselves. You know, they don't believe they have what it takes to do whatever it is they want to do. And I'm kind of looking at all of this in the perspective of someone who's going after goals, going after trying to reach the potential that God's placed in them, someone who's going after trying to live out their potential. You know, someone building a business, someone writing a novel, somebody pursuing a career in whatever area they're passionate about. Doubt is one of those things, kind of like fear, which we talked about not that long ago, where it can come in and it can totally derail your progress. So let's get back to this. What are some of the things that people doubt? People doubt themselves. People doubt their ability. Some with good reason, some without good reason. People doubt opportunities that are before them. There might be a great opportunity and they sit there and they doubt. I can give you a great example. I have flipped a bunch of houses in my real estate career. And I've seen lots of investors or people who want to get into investing who they just could not get themselves to believe that the opportunity in front of them was a real opportunity, and they could never pull the trigger on buying that first house. So they would find these great deals, and then they would just be so filled with doubt they wouldn't pull the trigger, and someone else would buy it before they get their hands on it. Opportunities when they knock, you got to be ready to jump on them and have the confidence to jump in and go after those, right? So some other things, people doubt their instincts. One of my favorite shows that is Seinfeld, and there's this episode where George Costanza, he comes to realize that every thought and belief he's ever had in his life has been wrong. And he's in a horrible spot in his life because he's been doing the wrong thing, making the wrong decisions, following the wrong instincts. So he starts to do the opposite of whatever he thinks is good sense and good judgment. He does the opposite. And all of a sudden his life just like turns around. So he had good reason to doubt his instincts, because if he went against them, he was successful. I don't think many people have that kind of situation, but there's a lot of times that we have instincts where something pops up and we think it's a good move, but we're not sure. And that doubt keeps us from moving forward. A lot of people who build a team, they doubt their team. I'm a Buffalo Sabres fan, and they've missed the playoffs for 6 straight years. They were the worst team in the league for 2 of the last 4 years. If I was a good player who came and joined that team with all the struggles they've had, I might be playing and think really that I'm really good and that I can do very well, but I might doubt my teammates. If I'm playing hockey and I have a goalie who gives up a goal in the last minute of a period every other game, I'm going to doubt that he can hold a lead for me. The same thing if I'm building a team in my business and I have people on my team who consistently drop the ball, consistently let me down, consistently get bad reviews from my clients, then I'm going to doubt that team. So some people doubt their team. There's some people though that are such perfectionists that they doubt their team even though their team doesn't deserve it. So there's all kinds of things to chew on with that. Other people doubt their knowledge. There's people who know incredible things, but they doubt the knowledge they have because maybe they didn't go to school, or maybe they grew up not in the in crowd that knows whatever it is that they do in their industry. So some people doubt their knowledge. Other people doubt the facts. You can look and all the facts are lined up right in front of you, but they doubt that they're true. Then there's the outcomes. A lot of people doubt the outcome. They're afraid, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do everything right, and that outcome is still not going to be good enough. That causes them to doubt and causes them to be stuck and not make decisions. A lot of people doubt their past decisions. You know, their history shows they were wrong before, so now they're afraid to make a decision because they doubt that they're going to make the right decision this time because what they did in the past, that paralyzes them. Some people doubt the environment. And I don't mean the environment by like the trees and global warming and those things, although there are some people who doubt those. I'm talking about the business environment. There's people who go and start a business or want to start a business and they say, well, the economy's not good enough, or well, consumer confidence is too low. I could never be successful at this point. One of my favorite podcasts is How I Built This, which is NPR puts it out. Guy Raz is the host, and they interview people who created amazing businesses and talk about how they did it. And one of the common themes I see all the time in that is that the people who have these ideas, they just believe in their idea so much that most of them didn't know how to do whatever it was they ended up being wildly successful doing, but they just believed in the idea so much that they went and figured it out. They didn't stop to think about what the market environment was. They didn't stop to think about, well, I don't know how to do this, so I'm not going to do it. They said, I have this great idea. It's going to be a huge success, and they went and figured it out and did it. So they didn't allow doubt to get in the way of them. Other people, they'll doubt their audience. Back in 2006, 2007, 2008, I'm in real estate here in Rutherford County, Tennessee, and that's outside. That's one of the counties outside of Nashville. Nashville's in the next county over, and Rutherford County really is majority a blue collar working class kind of county. And I remember back in 2006, 2007, there were builders who were trying to start building craftsman style homes in Murfreesboro. They were using hardy plank or fiber cement siding, which nobody had used in Murfreesboro before. I doubted the audience that people would understand that hardy plank is as good as brick in terms of its wear, in terms of how it withstands the weather, all that sort of thing. And sure enough, there were lots of people who would see that Hardy plank and say, well, I don't want a house with siding, I want a brick house. And they didn't understand, they need to be educated. So it would have been smart to doubt that audience in that case. In other cases, people doubt their audience, that their audience will understand what they're trying to do, but they're wrong. Other people doubt their success. There's some people who are really successful and they spend all their time afraid that they're going to lose everything because they doubt it. They doubt that they did the right things to be successful, or they doubt that their success is going to be long-standing or be sustainable. Then there's people who aren't successful yet who doubt they can be successful. And I see that all the time with a lot of real estate agents. They get into the business, it ends up being harder than they thought it was, and all of a sudden they're just filled with doubt about, can I really do this? Can I really figure out how to be successful in this industry? And that usually, when you start doubting if you can be successful, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because subconsciously you start doing things that sabotage yourself. Other people have had success a little bit, and they doubt that they can repeat that success. The whole thing here with doubt, there's all kinds of doubt. I'm sure there's 27 more kinds of doubt that I didn't even talk about there. The whole thing with doubt is doubt and fear could work together. Fear causes doubt, and doubt causes fear. It's like a chicken and an egg kind of thing. Sometimes you have the doubt first, and that leads to fear and causes you not to do things you should. Sometimes fear shows up first, and you have doubt because you're afraid. And the bottom line is, both of those things, fear and doubt, can lead to paralysis. They can lead to not doing anything. They can lead to just sitting there and not making a decision, sitting there and not taking action because you're afraid of the outcome, or you doubt that the outcome will be what you want it to be, those sorts of things. Confidence, on the other hand, the simple definition of confidence is just a lack of doubt. But if you look at the dictionary definition of confidence, confidence is full trust, belief in one's powers or abilities. And if you've got great confidence, you're going to have a lot less doubt. So the question is, are you being ruled by confidence in your life for most of your decisions, for most of the things that are put before you? Or are you being ruled by doubt? If you're being ruled by doubt, you need more confidence. If you're being ruled by confidence, that's probably a good thing. But like we talked about last time with the Dunning-Kruger effect, which we'll talk about here again in a second, because my wife loves that topic so much that I'm going to talk about it again in a little bit. But with the Dunning-Kruger effect, some people have super high confidence and it's totally unfounded. And there's no reason why they should have super high confidence, and that's leading to problems that are different. In general, confidence leads to action, but false confidence leads to bad outcomes. And a great example of that, false confidence, is if you ever watch football, there's quarterbacks who just have this confidence in themselves. And if you're going to be a starting quarterback in major college football or the NFL, you've got to be confident in yourself or you're going to be in trouble. But there's a lot of quarterbacks, you ever hear about these quarterbacks, they say, oh, he's a gunslinger, and he believes he can fit the ball in any window. And you have those kind of quarterbacks that they have a false confidence in themselves, and they're trying to jam the ball into small windows, and they're getting picked off all the time, things getting knocked down. And so that false confidence is leading to bad outcomes for them. The trick is, how do you find real confidence, and how do you detect when you have false confidence that's causing you to do things that, you're taking action, but maybe it's the wrong action, or maybe it's action that's not thought through all the way, or maybe it's action that's built on a false belief that you know what you're doing and maybe you really don't have quite the knowledge you thought you did. So if we look at that, if you don't have that confidence and you're doubting, why do people doubt? Right? Most people are doubting. It's very similar to fear. Well, remember when we talked about fear a few weeks ago, fear came from the unknown. Well, doubt comes from the unknown as well. If you're facing the unknown, you've never done it before, or you have a lack of information, you're going to doubt whether or not you can make things happen there, or whether or not you know what to do there. A lot of times you have doubt because you're mentally and physically exhausted. It's harder to make decisions. Your decision making, this goes back to, we talked in a previous podcast about protecting your energy. When your energy is depleted, you make bad decisions. When your energy is depleted, you get confused easier. When your energy is depleted, you're going to have more doubt because it's harder to move forward because you're not at optimum efficiency and optimum capacity when you have that, and that exhaustion mentally and physically. A lot of times, if you've had past failures or seen other people have failures, that's a reason why people doubt. If you have low confidence of success, you just start waiting for things to fall apart. Go back to my Buffalo Sabres. This year in the season, every year they start off bad, it seems, but this year they start off 0-4. So we're right in the first week of the season when I'm recording this. Let's talk about Bills. Bills and Sabres fans in general. Buffalo sports fans. Buffalo sports fans have not seen in the playoffs. In 23 combined seasons, the last 23 combined seasons of the Buffalo Bills and Buffalo Sabres, they haven't seen the playoffs. The Bills haven't seen the playoffs in 17 years. When you go that long without not seeing the playoffs as a fan, I have zero confidence that they're going to do what they need to make things happen. I'm just sitting there waiting. When's the bottom going to fall out? I'm watching a game and they're leading and it's like, well, they never win normally. So when's the bottom going to fall? When's the bad thing going to happen that's going to sabotage this? Well, if you've got a team of your own and you never succeed, you always fumble the ball at the 1 yard line, that's going to lead to doubt because you're going to look and say, we failed in the past. When's the failure coming this time? Other reasons that people doubt: fear, low probability of the desired outcome happening. If you drop back in football and throw a Hail Mary, you're not really expecting, you're hoping that that'll work. But when you throw that thing up for grabs like that, your odds are pretty low. If you're doing the equivalent in your business or in your goal setting or in what you're trying to accomplish of throwing a Hail Mary, you're going to have your doubts that that's going to work. Sometimes it's just a matter of the momentum is against you. A great example of that, back in the day when I used to play some blackjack, you would go and play blackjack and momentum was an amazing thing sitting at a blackjack table. Sometimes things would be going and you couldn't lose. Other times things would be going against you and you couldn't win. It would seem like, well, surely the dealer is not going to make their number here, and they would every time. And so if you've got momentum working against you, you're going to have doubts about whether or not you're going to succeed because that momentum is keeping you from moving forward. Another big reason why people doubt, sometimes people haven't prepared for what they're getting ready to do. If you have a big presentation for a new client and you waited to the last minute to get ready and then you oversleep and you show up and you don't have anything to share with that person, I'll bet you have a lot of doubts whether or not you're going to be able to get that new account. Preparation is a big thing. You can overcome doubt with a lot of preparation. That increases your confidence when you prepare. If you look at sports, all these coaches, all they ever talk about is we had great preparation. We worked through our plays. If you look at the NFL, they script the first 10 plays and practice them over and over and over and over again, talk about how great their preparation is. Well, the reason they do that is because that preparation removes the doubt because everybody knows exactly what to expect, and it creates confidence for the team to get things rolling in the right direction because they're highly prepared to be able to be successful. We've spent a lot of time talking about when people doubt. We spent a lot of time talking about why people doubt. The reason I'm being so thorough on this is because I want to talk a little bit about the cost of doubt. If you're someone who's not doing things because of doubt, it can be the difference between being successful in a business or being a failure in a business. Doubt is something that can suck the life out of you. Doubt is something that will keep you from achieving your dreams. So the cost of doubt, one of the big costs of doubt is that you never pull the trigger. Remember earlier I was talking about that investor who wants to buy a house to flip or wants to buy a rental property, and all they do is study and study and study, and they see the deal sitting right in front of them and they just can't pull the trigger because of that doubt keeping them from doing it. A lot of times that includes paralysis by analysis, right? People who spend all their time just studying and thinking and just putting all the data in, and the data is never enough because there's never certainty and they don't want to pull the trigger till there's certainty. Well, the truth is, and very few things in life is there actual certainty. Sometimes you have to pull the trigger without having all of the information. A big cost of doubt is that you stay in your comfort zone. We've talked on this podcast before about the importance of getting outside your comfort zone every day. There's fear in stepping outside your comfort zone, but if your comfort zone isn't constantly expanding, it's shrinking. And before you know it, if you allow that doubt to keep you from stepping out, your comfort zone shrinks and shrinks until there's hardly any room there. And you miss out on all the stuff with life. You have a diminished life. It's the same as fear. If you're not stepping outside that comfort zone on a daily basis and you're allowing doubt to keep you in there, your life is not everything it could be. You're leaving potential on the table that you could have had. Confidence is the cure for doubt. So if we have doubt, how do we develop confidence so that we can overcome that doubt? Really, the best way to develop confidence is success. That's easier said than done. But when you have success, you can build upon that success. It creates confidence. And then if you have success in a certain area over and over again, that's like muscle memory. If you reduce it to the ridiculous, I imagine most people listening to this podcast know how to tie their shoes. And when they have a pair of shoes on that they need to tie, there's no doubt in their mind they're going to be able to do it. And it's because they've done that over and over and over and over again to the point where there's no thought about it anymore. It's just muscle memory. They just do it and they're successful at it. In your business or in your goals that you're going after or in your dreams that you're chasing, you can develop that same kind of muscle memory for other things. I know people who, when they do sales presentations, they've practiced and done it over and over and over again, have been successful with it over and over, that there's no doubt in their mind that they're going to do a great job at it, and they just do it, and it's like muscle memory, it just flows out. That's the best way to build confidence, is to have some success and build on top of it. Another way, if you haven't had success yet, is to find a winning process, find somebody else who's done what you're trying to do before, take their process, follow their process exactly how they did it, and let go of the outcome. A lot of times, it's that fear of what the outcome will be that leads to the doubt that we have. But if you let go of the outcome and you trust the process and just give all you've got to the process, then things are going to happen. And a lot of times, if you just are all in on the process, you're going to see the results that come with that. In our real estate office, we train a lot of brand new agents. And those agents who come in, one of the things we always tell them is just trust the process and follow exactly like we say to do it. If you do it exactly like we're saying, exactly like we tell you, you're going to have success because it's a proven process that's worked before. And those who don't outthink it and really dig in and do it, they experience success. And those who get all worried about the outcome and start trying to maneuver things and change things because they're afraid or they're doubtful, they don't have the same success. When you're following a proven process that you know is going to work because you've seen it work for other people, that builds your confidence and helps you overcome your doubt. Another thing is something we already touched on, which is preparation. Preparation and education. It's no coincidence that most super successful people and people who run large organizations, that they're learners and readers, and they're constantly reading books. They're constantly learning new things. And when you're always preparing and you're always educating yourself, you're increasing your knowledge, you're making it more likely you're going to be more successful. And the more you read about other people who are successful and see that success is maybe not as complicated as you think it is or thought it was, then that leads to more confidence. Another way to get rid of that doubt is to study the traits and habits of successful people and repeat what they're doing. Like we just talked about, the top CEOs typically read tons of books so they can learn from other people. Well, what's the last thing you read? How many books a month do you read? How many podcasts a week are you listening to? How much time do you spend trying to study people in your industry who are ultra successful so that you can learn the tricks of the trade that they have so they can be more successful? When you can see those things and implement them into your life, that's going to increase your confidence and help you to overcome that doubt and be more successful. We talked about this already. You need to step outside your comfort zone on a daily basis and learn to manage the fear, because remember, fear causes doubt and doubt causes fear, and sometimes they just go back and forth, making each other bigger and bigger. If you can learn to manage your fear, go back to the podcast on fear and listen to it. Lots of good stuff there about how to overcome fear. If you learn to have courage and do it despite your fear, you're going to diminish your doubt because you're stepping out of that comfort zone. You have to be honest with yourself. Like everything else, if you're not honest with yourself and you're making excuses and you're lying to yourself that, hey, I'm doing the things the way I should be doing them, or you're lying to yourself and saying, well, I don't have any doubt when you do, the first person that needs to be truthful is you. You need to be truthful with yourself. And when you really look at your situation, you need to be honest with yourself so that you can attack what's really there as opposed to what you wish were there or what you're pretending is there. And if you're spending a lot of time pretending things aren't as bad as they are, or saying things aren't as bad as they are, or you're not admitting what the real issue is that you need to work on, all you're doing is cheating yourself and keeping yourself from being what you can be. You need to analyze your failures. A lot of people, when they have a failure, they want to run from it. You want to analyze that failure. If you had a failure in business, you want to tear that thing apart and figure out where it went wrong, figure out what you could have done different. If you have a failure and you really tear it apart and do an autopsy and see that it's a simple thing that caused that failure could actually lead to more confidence instead of more doubt, because you can say, man, it's this one thing that's causing us to fail. If I can fix that, that's going to turn the whole thing around. Then you have great confidence because you see that there's nothing else going on there that's going to cause you to not hit your mark. Too many people hide from their failure. And when you fall down, you need to embrace it and you need to learn from it. Back to my wife's favorite subject, the Dunning-Kruger effect. You don't want that false confidence. If you remember, the Dunning-Kruger effect is that people of low ability tend to overestimate their skill level. And perfect example is on a rating scale of 1 to 10, the average American worker rates himself a 7, which of course is impossible. 94% of college professors think that they're above average in ability compared to their peers. People tend to overestimate. And then the ones who are really highly competent, they tend to underestimate how good they really are. If you're building confidence and your confidence is false confidence, it goes back to your self-perception. Go back to the last podcast where we talked about self-perception. Figure out if your self-perception is correct, because false confidence, it's another form of lying to yourself. It leads to making bad decisions. It leads to taking action that maybe you shouldn't take. It leads to problems that are going to cause you just as many problems as not doing something in the first place. So you need to build real confidence. When you're faced with doubt, I've got 5 strategies that you can use to overcome that doubt. And we'll wrap up with these 5 things. The first thing is you want to revisit your past successes. Even if it's something that you've never done before, you want to look where you've been successful in the past. Why were you successful? What skills and talents and attitude did you bring to the table to be successful? What was your preparation to be successful? What was your team like that was around you when you were doing it? If you can replicate as many of those factors as possible going into something new or something where you have doubts, your outcome you're going to be able to make your outcome better. You're going to be able to work through the process and have that better outcome and take the right kind of action. The second way to push past that doubt is stop worrying about what other people think about you. What other people think about you is none of your business. Because here's the thing. If you have big goals in your life, other people are going to doubt you. And they're going to try and talk you down from doing those big goals. You need to surround yourself with people who have big goals of their own so that you all help each other to move towards those. But there's some people in our lives that we have to be around. when you come in and you say, I'm going to do this, think of Peter Diamandis, who wants to, make space travel something that's a consumer item where you can go fly into space. If he came to your family dinner and said, hey, I'm going to make space travel something that people do on a regular basis, what do you think people would say to him about that? What kind of confidence does he need to have to keep pushing forward with the people who would be naysayers in that kind of situation? The truth of the matter is that the large majority of people in this world are threatened by those people who are trying to do big things and achieve big things. And their knee-jerk reaction is to tell you that you can't do it, or to give you reasons why you shouldn't do it. Most people are afraid to take the steps to go after something big. Subconsciously, if they can stop you from going after your big thing, it makes them feel better about them not having the courage to do that themselves. So don't let people tell you that. And let me give you some examples of people who were told they couldn't do stuff, right? You ever hear of a guy named Walt Disney? Walt Disney worked at the Kansas City Star, and in 1919 he was fired because, quote, he lacked imagination and had no good ideas. I think they were wrong about him. Thank goodness he didn't listen to them. Then you have Elvis Presley. Elvis Presley, the first time he performed at the Grand Ole Opry, the manager pulled him aside and said, you know what, you're probably going to be better off going back to Memphis and driving trucks. Fortunately, Elvis didn't listen to them and became the king of rock and roll. Then there's Oprah Winfrey. She was fired as an evening news reporter because she couldn't keep her own emotions out of her news stories. And they told her she wasn't good enough to do that. I think she kind of proved that she was good enough to make things happen. The idea is other people are going to try and hold you down. Don't listen to them. You keep pushing forward. You surround yourself with people who are going to talk you up instead of people who are going to talk you down. And that leads right into the number 3 strategy, which is talk to someone encouraging. When you're doubting your ability, you're doubting any of those things we talked about, and you've got something big you need to do and you need to go overcome that doubt, get with someone who you know is an encourager, acknowledge your doubt, but don't buy into it, and ask them to help lift you up. Ask them to help you get where you want to go. Get an encouraging pep talk from them. You know the people that you can go and do this with. Don't go to the people who are trying to keep you from doing your big things. Go to the people who are already doing big things and ask them to help you. The 4th thing is you want to load up on inspiration. You have books. YouTube has all kinds of inspirational content, motivational speakers. Read biographies of people who are overcomers and were able to do great things. There's all kinds of motivational movies. I can give you a great example of loading up on inspiration. When I ran a marathon a few years back, and there's lots and lots of training that goes into getting ready for a marathon. And there were days where I had to run for 45 minutes, and that was my training for the day, and I just didn't feel like doing it. I didn't feel up to it. And on those days where I doubted I had it in me to complete my training, I would pop in the movie Miracle about the 1980 U.S. hockey team that won the gold medal at Lake Placid. And I would watch the last 45 minutes of the movie while I was running. And I swear I did this 10, 15 times during the course of my training. And every single time, even though I started feeling tired and beat down and not wanting to run, by the time Al Michaels would say, do you believe in miracles? Yes! I would be sprinting on that treadmill with the thing up as high as I could go and be sprinting, because that movie was so inspiring to me. It's amazing, things that touch our emotions and get us to feel that energy surge. When you have that going on, you feel like you can conquer the world. So make sure you have some go-to inspirational things you can do so you can push right through that doubt. And then there's the 5th thing. Don't do nothing. So many people, when they doubt, they just back into a corner and they sit down and they wait for the doubt to pass, and the opportunity often passes while they're waiting for the doubt to pass. Just remember, doing nothing is a decision as well. So don't allow that doubt to keep you from moving forward. In life's big decisions, there's rarely certainty. You're going to have to make decisions in life where you're not certain of the outcome. You're not certain of success. You want to get as many of those factors in your favor as possible until you're at a point where you're ready to pull the trigger and move forward. And you know, I've got as many as possible going in my favor, and you pull the trigger and you go after it. Just like fear, you need to stomp out doubt the moment it starts to rear its head. So that's the podcast for today. I appreciate the time that you spent with me. Look forward to talking to you again next time. And don't forget Rooster's Leap. Go to Amazon. Check it out. Have a great week. Thanks.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please subscribe to Student of Life at iTunes, Stitcher, or wherever you go to for your favorite podcasts. Visit us online at studentoflifepodcast.com. That's studentoflifepodcast.com. We are on Facebook at Student of Life. Email us at joe@studentoflifepodcast.com. If you enjoyed the show, help us spread the word by telling someone you know about Student of Life. And please join us again next time. Thanks!